Coming up, walk-offs and doubleheaders highlighted baseball on Sunday. This is Locked On Now MLB.
The biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now MLB. Local experts weighing in on the biggest stories in baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We've got our Locked On MLB hosts here to recap everything for you from Sunday. We're going to start out with the Angels, who took it down to the very last second in last night's biggest game.
The biggest game.
The Angels went into the bottom of the ninth, trailing and got down to their final out before pulling out a walk-off win at home. Locked On Angels goes over baseball's most dramatic finish from Mother's Day.
Did the Angels just prove that they love moms more than everyone else? I think so. What's going on, everybody? It's John from Locked On Angels. What a walk-off win for the Halos. Anthony Rendon walking off against his former team in the Nationals. The Angels take the series 2-1, and you gotta win series against teams like that. So it's great that they were able to celebrate a victory today. It all started with a Luis Rengifo walk in the bottom of the ninth. The Angels down 2-4. Taylor Ward hits him over to third, and then Shohei Ohtani, showing all the love for the moms out there, hits a 2-run double, ties the game. And then the very next batter, Anthony Rendon, hits a single, scoring Shohei from second and winning the game at the plate in the bottom of the ninth. It was so good to see them come back. The Angels hang on to first place in the American League West, and we're going to break it all down for you on Locked On Angels. My brother Mike and I will be there for you. So wherever you get your podcasts, or if you want to join us over on YouTube, catch us there on Monday, and we'll talk all about it. We can't wait to break it down for you.
The Mariners also had a late comeback on Sunday. Theirs snapped a 6-game losing streak. Locked On Mariners has the heroes from the walk-off finish in extras.
It is finally over. The Mariners have ended their 6-game losing skid. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. This is Titan Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast. The Mariners were staring their 7th consecutive loss directly in the eyes in the bottom of the ninth. They only had 2 outs remaining before Abraham Toro hit a game-tying solo shot to send things to extras. Paul Sewald holds the Rays scoreless on the top of the 10th, and then Ty France comes through with an RBI single to walk the Rays off 2-1 and end this losing streak. The big story in this one for the Mariners, though, George Kirby. And it's weird to say that someone looked vintage in their major league debut, but anyone who has watched George Kirby pitch down in the minor leagues knows that this was vintage George Kirby that we got. 6 innings pitched, scoreless, 7 strikeouts, no walks. No Mariners pitcher has ever done that before in their major league debut. He was sensational and gave the Mariners a huge boost, especially because the offense went cold whatsoever, but they were able to scrape together enough runs to end this losing skid. Now it's on to the Phillies, and hopefully they can string together some wins here. It'd be nice to talk about on Locked On Mariners. Be sure to join us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you tomorrow.
The Houston Astros won their 7th straight game on Sunday. Houston hasn't given up more than 2 runs during the streak, and they got its 3rd shutout in the stretch against the Tigers. Our Locked On Astros host has the story after another win.
Hey everyone, H.J. Wheelhouse here with Locked On Astros, and the Astros win their 7th straight. That's right, Jake Odorizzi wins his 2nd straight game on the mound. Whatever Justin Verlander told him, make him pitching coach when he retires. Who needs Brent Strom when you got JV? Because when he's not on the mound, he's still making an impact. Aledmys Diaz came in to start for Jeremy Pena, who was resting today, and he hit a grand slam. That's right, the Astros win 5-0. Timely hitting. They did leave a lot of guys on base, but they still won. They swept the Tigers. They got vengeance on them from them coming into Minute Maid Park and sweeping them. Check us out tonight as we got Chris Castellani from Barstool Sports, former Locked On Tigers host, to talk to us about all things Tigers. Justin Verlander, the legend within, Miguel Cabrera, his great numbers, and Jose Altuve, what he thinks about him and his career so far. So stay tuned in to Locked On Astros, where you're a team every day. We'll go live tonight, Sunday. Check us out on YouTube.
Coming up, the Reds won twice over the weekend. This is Locked On Now MLB. Today's episode of Locked On Now is brought to you by BetOnline, the #1 spot for all of your online sports gambling needs, especially now with the NHL and NBA playoffs fully underway. You want to head over there for all of your bets. Just go to betonline.net. Welcome back to Locked On Now MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We're going to continue to fill you in on everything you need to know from Sunday. The Reds have been off to one of the worst starts in MLB history before this weekend, that is. They finally got a series win, earning them Sunday's best performance.
The best performance.
Hold up.
The Reds had won just 3 games all season going into the weekend, but they got 2 in the last 3 days alone against the Pirates. Locked On Reds tells us what has gotten into the Cincinnati lineup.
The Cincinnati Reds have won a series. This is not a drill. Happy Mother's Day. This is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, here to tell you about how Colin Moran has changed the Cincinnati Reds season. All right. Probably not. But that was a really good game for him. 2 homers, one of them a grand slam, and Heath Hembree continues to affect the Reds in some sort of way, as he was pitching for the Pirates when he gave up that grand slam to Colin Moran. Look at that. The Reds getting 2 out of 3 in a series that was supposed to be 4, and 1 got rained out. Feeling good. 5 wins. The Reds and FC Cincinnati have something in common in that win column. Now, the Milwaukee Brewers come to Great American Ballpark. You remember the Brewers? They just got done scoring like 400 runs against Reds pitching. Gonna have to see how that one plays out. We'll talk about that and more on tomorrow's Locked On Reds podcast. Make sure you join us.
The Dodgers made it look pretty easy all weekend long at the friendly confines as they swept the Cubs. Locked On Dodgers has no complaints after an all-around impressive series.
Hey, guess what? The boring wins count too. What's up? It's Jeff from Locked On Dodgers. The Dodgers just casually swept the Cubs this weekend, outscoring them 20-3. 3 team victories. A lot of people got in on the offense, probably mostly led by Mookie Betts, who continues his hot streak, and realistically, mostly led by the pitching staff because Dodgers pitchers continue to be ridiculously good. Only 3 runs allowed in this 3-game series. And the Cubs aren't a very good team, but they were who was on the schedule. And for the next few weeks, it's going to be not very good teams on the schedule. And the Dodgers' job is to take care of business, and that's what they did this weekend. So Vince and I are going to be with you tomorrow morning like we are every weekday morning to talk all about this weekend series with the Cubs and all the good, the bad, and the boring. You know, boring wins are great. It's Mother's Day. I didn't want to be stressed. I want to be spending time with my family and watching the Dodger game in the background, and I appreciate the Dodgers giving me a nice stress-free victory so that I could focus on my family. But you need to focus on Locked On Dodgers tomorrow morning like you do every weekday morning because we're coming at you Monday through Friday. Every day, we love talking Dodgers with you, so we will see you in the morning.
The White Sox swept the Red Sox in Boston with a 1-run win on Sunday. The hot streak has the Southsiders back above 500 and ready to get into the playoff picture.
The Chicago White Sox swept the Boston Red Sox in Boston, wrapping up the series, winning 3-2 behind a pretty stellar performance by Dallas Keuchel. White Sox are on a 6-game winning streak. They're finally above 500 as they sit 14-13. This past weekend was pretty outstanding. Sox bullpen giving up 0 earned runs, limiting the walks, limiting the errors. The Sox are heading back home for a 7-game stretch, hopefully getting Yoan Moncada back and maybe even Joe Kelly as the Sox host the Guardians on Monday. Things trending in the right direction as the weather warms up on the south side of Chicago.
The White Sox are on a 6-game win streak. The Red Sox have now lost 5 in a row. Locked On Red Sox is more than upset with how Boston yet again lost a very winnable game.
It's the same old song and dance with the Red Sox as they dropped Sunday's game 3-2 against the Chicago White Sox in mind-numbingly familiar fashion. Hey, it's Lauren from Locked On Red Sox, and things went from bad to worse for Boston on Sunday. First, Michael Wacha was scratched from his originally scheduled start, only to end up on the IL. Certainly not good. He's been one of Boston's best pitchers this season. And the Red Sox were all over Dallas Keuchel to begin the game, thinking, yes, this is the time they turn it around. Boy, were we wrong. They lost 3-2. It's, like I said, the same old song and dance. Bad offense, not capitalizing with runners in scoring position. I'm going to break down everything for you on Monday's episode of Locked On Red Sox.
The New York Mets split their doubleheader with the Phillies and still haven't lost a series all season long. New York's pitching is living up to the expectations, and Locked On Mets has details from a pair of good outings on Sunday.
The New York Mets have played in 9 series this season. They have yet to lose a single one of those 9 series. They are the first team in baseball to 20 wins. This is Ryan Finkelstein, the host of Locked On Mets, and after watching both Max Scherzer and Chris Bassett pitch in a doubleheader on Sunday, it is hard to feel bad about this team. Even though Scherzer got the tough loss, he still looked pretty good out there, and Chris Bassett looked even better in the second game, allowing the Mets to win one and get that doubleheader split. And thanks to a remarkable and absolutely improbable comeback on Thursday night, they win this series against the Philadelphia Phillies. I'll be breaking down all of that on tomorrow's show. And also, I want to talk a little bit about J.D. Davis. Hit the ball on the screws today, even though he had a couple tough luck outs. Should J.D. start to get a little bit more playing time at DH? As you know, if you've been listening to this show, I'm not always the biggest J.D. Davis proponent, but with this DH in place now, maybe there is a little bit more of a role for him in the future.
The Giants won Saturday and Sunday to split their series with the Cardinals. Our Locked On Giants host said San Fran did what it needed to do to get back on track over the weekend.
The Giants get a much-needed split in their 4-game series against the Cardinals. After losing the first 2 games of the series, they salvaged the last 2. Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. It started with Buster Posey Day on Saturday. Just good vibes around the ballpark, and the team exploded and snapped a 5-game losing streak, which was their longest since August of 2020. And then they were able to carry that over on Sunday and win a tight 4-3 game. And like I said, split this 4-game series against a good Cardinals team. Giants are getting healthy. They have Brandon Belt, Mike Yastrzemski, LaMonte Wade Jr. back. They have Evan Longoria and Tommy La Stella working their way back. So things are looking like they're on the up and up for the Giants, and they welcome in the Rockies, who are doing well but maybe a little bit overperforming, with their ace on the mound in Carlos Rodon tomorrow. So we'll get you set for that and talk about the weekend that was on tomorrow's Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
The Baltimore Orioles split their doubleheader with the Royals on Sunday, but Locked On Orioles says Baltimore could have and should have taken both games.
Well, it was an old-fashioned split for the Orioles in today's doubleheader, winning one of the 2 games against the Kansas City Royals. And Orioles starting pitching was pretty good on the day. Jordan Lyles, 7 1/3, the longest start for any Orioles pitcher. And Bruce Zimmerman was good again with the 6 innings in Game 2. And, the O's got a big win in Game 2. But felt like the O's should have swept this doubleheader. I mean, plain and simple, they should have won Game 1 and should have had 2 wins over the Royals. Had the lead in the 8th, gave up the run, and then the defense lets them down. The error by Odor, the pickoff error by Jorge Lopez, and the Royals get the 2 runs in the 9th. Just was kind of tough to swallow in that first game. Felt like the O's had it, and the defense just let them down in the top of the 9th inning, especially in game number 1. But they do split the doubleheader. They've got a chance to win the series on Monday. But speaking of Monday, I'll have the total recap of both games of the doubleheader on Monday's episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
In another doubleheader, Gleyber Torres got the Yankees 1 win Sunday, but the New York offense didn't have much support for good pitching in the other game. Locked On Yankees has some critiques after the split.
This is Stacey Gotsoulias, co-host of Locked On Yankees, and the Yankees split their Mother's Day doubleheader with the Texas Rangers, winning the first game and dropping the second game. In the first game, Garrett Cole pitches a gem, 6 1/3 innings, 10 strikeouts. His only blemish, a home run off the bat of Cole Calhoun on the last pitch he threw. And then Gleyber Torres walked off in the bottom of the 9th. And it's his second career walk-off home run. He has other walk-offs, just not home runs. And he did that last 4 years ago today, May 8th, 2018. Don't you love baseball? Second game, Jordan Montgomery is starting. So, of course, the Yankees could only muster 2 runs. And in shock of all shocks, Michael King is the one who gave up the big blow. What? Huh? He gave up a home run. Not only that, his ERA is now a bloated 1.42. The horror. Anyway, we'll have a full recap of both of these games on the next Locked On Yankees. And you may have a surprise on YouTube for Monday afternoon during that game. Ooh, tune in.
That's all for today on Locked On Now MLB. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you check out Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On Now.